I get a phone call that this lady had a fire in her house, and we rushed down there. She filed the insurance claim on her own. When we get to her house, we're going over her policy, and she's crying, and she's like, I'm like, I get it. It's a fire. It's devastating. And I'm just there to make her feel better at that moment. And I'm looking over a policy, and I'm looking at this. I see that there's no contents coverage in her policy. And I asked her about it, and she said, I can't believe this. 2 months ago, I called my agent. I couldn't, the payments were getting too high. It was getting too crazy. So what I did was I told them I asked him if they could lower my coverage. And the first thing he did is said, look, we could remove your contents. And I did that 2 months ago. And I don't know what to do now, because it was a devastating fire. We ended up getting her the policy limits plus the ordinance and law, but she lost all her contents and had to pay out of pocket to replace it. So it's super important if you do have a property and you do have insurance, and make sure that you have coverage for it, because you don't want to end up like that. With no coverage and no contents. However, there was something interesting that happened with that claim. Not everybody would know that there is also different coverage that you have, and this is not going on to contents, but it's for ordinance and law. So ordinance and law coverage is up to about 25%, roughly 25% of coverage A, which is how much they would pay for your dwelling in the event of a total loss. But ordinance and law, what that means is that the insurance company would pay to up to 25% of that policy to bring the house up to code. So that house happened to be a total loss. Not originally. The insurance company underpaid it. When we ended up fighting it, we got her reimbursed for the total loss, which it was, that the insurance company did not want to acknowledge at the time. But over and above that, we got her the additional 25%, which I think was roughly about $50,000 in addition to her coverage A, because of the code upgrades that she needed to bring her home up to code. It could be very easily missed if you don't know what you're doing, and they're not going to come out and just pay for it, because it needs to be proved. The documentation needs to be provided, and it has to be done in the correct manner in order for the insurance carrier to pay. Without a public adjuster, without me present, without myself and the help of my team, she would have lost. She wouldn't have, number one, gotten into the policy limits, which the insurance company already intended not to give her. But on top of it, the ordinance and law coverage was an additional $50,000 that was in the policy that we were able to recover on top of whatever her coverage A was. So it was super important that we were present. We did the right thing for her. We helped her. We walked through the entire process with her, made her feel, when a person goes through that, it's a daunting process because they just lost everything. So having that extra shoulder to rely on was, I think, one of the most important things, aside from just the upside on the monetary value. But just having us there for her made her feel comfortable and confident that she was going to be okay.